welcome to Crank It Up Podcast, the YouTube home of bringing games. I'm Jim Price, designer of Erudia Battle of Birthrights, and today I want to introduce you to the Chemists class. The Chemists have a theme of card combustion, or as I prefer to call it, make thing go boom. If you are familiar with the Chemists from JRPGs, they are typically known for abilities like Drink, Mix, and Throw Potion, all of which are reflected in this class. In the routine class rankings, the Chemists were the number one favorite class among the playtesting team. For me, I love all my classes, but the Chemists currently sit at number 3. This is surprising, because I absolutely despise the Chemist class in the source material, and yet I had many reasons for including them in the core set, one of which is to introduce the heavy use of Qualifiers. The Chemists rely on 2 qualifiers, ingredient and reusable. An ingredient is just a subcategorization that makes interactions clear. Do you have the ingredient qualifier? If so, then a card that specifies interactions with ingredients can interact with you. The Chemists have 4 ingredient types in the primary that define this mechanism. The second qualifier is reusable, which indicates that a card is easily replayable on a new destination. By introducing reusable items in the beginning, they become part of the game's foundation and easily allow new items to exist with that qualifier, since you can test proactively rather than reactively. I'll talk more about reusable items at the end. Dowska is the Chemist leader, and I encourage you to figure out the origin of her name. Dowska has an attack that she can optionally shuffle in an item, and believe it or not, the fact that it is optional is significant and justified. Normally I am not a fan of making good abilities optional, but it makes sense here. Dowska is more prominently known for her command, which simply plays an item. In other classes, you would have 10 items, 5 from your treasury and 5 from your secondary. Instead, the Chemists have 9 items in their primary, bringing your expected total to 19. Of course, items don't have the same impact as other card types, but Dowska makes up for this with her ability to play Tinkerers with ease. She doesn't get to trigger their advantage, but still, her command can easily add 2 power while allowing you to spread out, while still allowing multiple item plays per turn, which is key to the Chemist strategy, as we will see. The first card combustion play is the idea of doubling the potency of potions. The alchemists can easily enhance the value of reusable items with their reaction, allowing the affected unit to gain 1 temporary power. These abilities stack, so a +2 Astetane can generate 2 power from alchemists as long as they are within range. This is also reflected in Maynard, Schmalix's chosen acolyte from last week's video, where Maynard can enhance the value of reusable items played on her. This power can add up very quickly, but also requires quite a bit of setup. They definitely have 0 to breakpoint potential, but it requires spreading out and keeping their engines in play. Still, when you start making things go boom, it is very rewarding, particularly if you can pull off the second big play, which uses my favorite acolyte in the group, Elion. Elion can use the effects of reusable items on the fly at the cost of discarding a card. What exactly does it mean to use a reusable item? It means exactly what it says. You use it on one unit, and then Elion gets queued and you repeat the text, now applied to Elion. Because it copies the text, not the effect, this allows Elion to achieve a different outcome. So if you play Cesium, you would apply the text and choose 2 tokens, which can even be on a rival unit. Elion can copy it, and doesn't have to choose the same tokens. You can repeat the text in its entirety, and Elion can choose a strength and a shield instead of damage and delay, for example. Where Elion gets crazy, if you can set this up, is Catch Potion. Mentally, I want you to envision 2 units throwing the same potion back and forth to each other, because that's what's happening. You'll actually see this example in the rulebook, but let's say you have Maynard with Catch Potion and Elion is nearby. If you play Astetane on Maynard, it will resolve first on Maynard with Elion queued next. Then when Elion starts to use it, Catch Potion interrupts and queues it on Maynard, because it only cares about someone else using it. It doesn't matter if the item was previously used. So now, Astetane is used for a 3rd time, which is on a unit other than Elion, which means, you guessed it, Elion could discard another card and use it a 4th time. That's 10 power for Astetane and 2 discarded cards, but also a lot of setup. But if your alchemists are out and in range, that's another 8 power. So you can begin to see how you are making things go boom. A fairly standard plan is to explode, reload, explode again, and try to repeat the process as much as you can, knowing that it's harder to do things in the mid-game. But if we are going to talk about big plays, we have to talk about Water on Acid. Water on Acid is our answer to Mix. Each ingredient in the primary has a type A through D. Conveniently, the type aligns with the name of the card, like Bismuth is ingredient B. Each primary ingredient contains an interrupt that works in limbo. When you play Water on Acid, the number of ingredients you play goes up by 1. Water on Acid does 2 things. First, it triggers the usability of an ingredient in limbo, so if you chose bismuth, you would draw 2 cards again. Only 1 ingredient gets this treatment. But the next effect is where it gets fun. If an ingredient type is in limbo, A, B, C, or D, you get the corresponding effect, but only once. So if you have 2 acetanes in limbo, you get to do A, but only once. However, both acetanes still increase the value of X, so 2 acetanes and a cesium would mean that A and C trigger, and X is 3 for both. This would mean that Water on Acid can choose astatine for 2 power, then A's ability creates up to 3 power if you have 3 allied units, and C deals 3 battlefield damage. That's a gain of 8, but you can mix and match as you see fit. You will often hear me talk about a Blossom paradox, where the inability to use a card at its maximum potential makes me not use it at all, because I wait for maximum payoff. However, while Water on Acid seems like a Blossom paradox, it amazingly never feels this way to me, even though I am extremely susceptible to such paradoxes. The truth is that Water on Acid can do whatever you need it to do, and mini booms can be more than enough. If you play bismuth to draw 2 cards, then play Water on Acid with just that, Water on Acid moves a unit and draws 2 cards. That is still a great outcome if that's all you need. With just 1 acetane and the proper setup, it can be 6 power. It is extremely flexible, and don't sleep on Dysprosium's ability either. A quick bismuth and dysprosium play to destroy a unit with a lot of shields can be very impactful since destruction itself is so rare. It also combines really well for the big solo play. Water on Acid is directly impacted by your ability to play items, and the Chemists have the tool to play all 4 ingredient types in the same turn if they have the right setup. Dowska is key to this because she lets you use the Trinkurers early so that you can save your more terminal items for later, or she can play your non-Chemist items to great effect. Before we get to the treasury, I want to go over a few details that will help with recognizing the Chemist cards. Obviously, the A through D names are intentional so that they correspond with Water on Acid, and the ingredients are all raw elements chosen for their atomic symbol. For the Chemists, a reusable item will look like a potion, even though there are non-potions that are reusable. Otherwise, if it looks like a rock or a Molotov cocktail, it's not reusable. We were also sure to give each Chemist item a unique combination of color and structure, so they should be readily discernible. While the Chemists focus on potions being reusable, this is an area where being a bit wider with the theme is necessary, because you will see reusable items a lot. You would want to, as that creates interactions that keep the Chemists interesting as the game evolves. You don't want every reusable item to be about power, and reusable items go to some really interesting places as the game evolves. As far as treasury support, let's address the elephant in the room, the Blade of Erudia. Yes, you can burst with Dowska, but it's mostly a waste since she has great engine value. There are times where the burst makes sense, however, which is why we keep the interaction. Another obvious choice is the Tears of Undyne, which gives you a reusable as ambush potential, but also another battle phase card. They have some very high impact primary items, and the Dowsing Rod can ensure that you get to them to maximize your chance of using them. Given that the Chemists essentially depend on ingredients and reusables, searching for one makes a lot of sense. The Chemists have one of the best Acolyte draft spreads where all 5 get significant attention, making the Azuran Idol a perfect fit, especially since some are sacrifice worthy for Dowska. Of course, the Chemists have less actions, so the Bevian Glaive's tactic conversion is perfect for them. I love cloaking alchemists. Honestly, you can't go wrong with their treasury picks. Just watch out for Shard of Gaia targeting Catch Potion. The Chemists certainly know how to do more with less, combining cards for bigger and better effects. They are available in the demo game now, and I hope you love them as much as I do. What do you think of the Chemists? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.